गुड आफ्टरनून ऑल। तो आज हम इस वीडियो में शुरू करेंगे प्लेटो और अरिस्टोटल ऑन मिमेसिस आर्ट पोइट्री, जो ऑलमोस्ट ओवर पेपर में आया है इन दिसंबर 2022, जून 2023, मतलब ऑल पेपर्स में है। उसको हम स्टार्ट करेंगे, ठीक है। सो स्टार्ट करते हैं हम। सबसे पहले हम प्लेटो के व्यूज़ पढ़ेंगे, फिर उसके बाद एरिस्टोटल के व्यूज़ पढ़ेंगे, ठीक है। तो स्टार्ट करते हैं। प्लेटोज व्यूज़ आर्ट इज़ डेंजरस। सो जो प्लेटो का व्यू है कि आर्ट एक डेंजरस लाई है। प्लेटो बिलीव दैट आवर फिजिकल वर्ल्ड इज़ जस्ट अ पुअर कॉपी ऑफ अ परफेक्ट इनविजिबल रियल्म कॉल्ड द थ्योरी ऑफ फॉर्म्स। तो प्लेटो का क्या बिलीव है कि जो फिजिकल वर्ल्ड में जो भी है, जो भी हम देखते हैं, वो क्या है, एक कॉपी है, पुअर कॉपी ऑफ परफेक्ट थिंग विच इज़ नॉट विजिबल, वो इनविजिबल है। और इसी कॉन्सेप्ट को उन्होंने थ्योरी ऑफ फॉर्म्स में बोला है। वो एक कॉन्सेप्ट उनका क्या है, थ्योरी ऑफ फॉर्म्स है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, देर इज़ अ परफेक्ट कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ अ चेयर इन हेवन। द कारपेंट मेक्स अ फ्लोर फिजिकल चेयर एंड द आर्टिस्ट पेंट्स अ पिक्चर ऑफ दैट चेयर. Artists thrice removed from reality because art copies physical objects which are already copies of the perfect forms. Plato said art is a copy of a copy if it is three steps away from the truth. If you paint a knife, you don't know how to make a knife or use a knife. You just know what it looks like. Therefore, artists are ignorant and art is an illusion. Showing versus telling. It means mimesis versus legacies. Plato divided storytelling in two types. Mimesis means showing, acting like someone else and using direct dialogue like a play. तो इसमें कि हम किसी की तरह एक्टिंग करेंगे और सीधा डायलॉग्स को डिलीवर करेंगे, उसे कहते हैं शोइंग. Mimesis means telling, speaking in your own voice as a narrator, like telling a story around a campfire. Okay. Next, why Plato hated showing. Mimesis. Plato hated plays and acting for a few reasons. Identify theft. He worried that if young people pretended to act like villains, cowards, or gossips in a play, they would accidentally become those things in real life. Emotional infection. He thought watching sad characters cry on stage did not relieve your stress. He thought it infected you, making you an emotionally unstable person in real life. Bad role models. He hated that classic poems like Homer's The Iliad showed gods throwing the tantrums, cheating, and murdering. He thought it set a terrible example for kids. The result. Plato concluded that poets and artists disrupt the peace, manipulate people's minds, and should vanish from his perfect society. पार्ट टू. अब पार्ट टू में हम पढ़ेंगे प्लेटो के बारे में, सॉरी एरिस्टोटल के बारे में. Aristotle's views art is good for the soul. Aristotle was Plato's star student, but he totally disagreed with her teacher. He looked at the real world and said, art is not dangerous, it's actually how humans survive and thrive, reversing the blame. Aristotle said perfect forms are not looked away in some invisible heaven, they exist inside nature. When an artist paints or writes, they are not making the cheap copy, they are looking at the messy real world and cleaning it up to show us the deep universal truth of how things should be. Artist is how we learn. Artists pointed out that humans are the most imitative creatures on earth. From the time we are babies, we learn by copying. When we look at a painting or watch a play, we enjoy it because our brains go, ah, look at that. I understand what that is now. Art brings us joy because it brings us knowledge. Art is better than history. In a famous flip, Aristotle said, poetry. Fiction is more philosophical and important than history. History only tells you what actually happens, specific facts. Poetry tells you what could happen, universal truths about human natures. He even said a believable lie is better for a story than an unbelievable truth. So Plato's divided the six elements of tragedy in plays. Aristotle's loved theatre, especially tragedies, set plays. He broke a good play down into six ingredients. Plato. The story, the most part of needs a clear beginning, middle, and end, and must fit together perfectly like a living skeleton. Character. The hero should be mostly good, believable people like us, so we can relate to them. Amateur, the flomiste. The hero should not ruin their life because they are evil. They should ruin it because of a tragic mistake or bad judgment call, like Oedipus not realizing who his parents were. Thought, the internal debate and logic the characters use to make tough choices. Diction, the style of speech it should be, but poetic and grand enough to feel special. The songs and rhythms that add deep emotional flavor. Spectacle, the visual sets and costumes. Aristotle thought this was the least important part. The script should work even if you just read it. Cathays, the emotional flush. Remember how Plato feared that crying at play makes you weak? Aristotle said the exact opposite. He believed that when we feel deeply pity and fear while watching a tragedy, it's like an emotional detox. We flush those heavy emotions out of our system in a safe environment, leaving the theater feeling lighter and happier. So इसमें अब हम देखेंगे कि क्या उनके आर्ग्यूमेंट्स है बस एज अ समरी. So what is reality for Plato? As per a perfect invisible world we can see, or Aristotle the physical world around us. See next, what is art? So a fake depicted copy of a copy. और यहाँ पे एरिस्टोटल के लिए a nature healthy way to learn. Is art true? No, it is a lie meant to trick you. Yes, it reveals universal truths about life. What do emotions do? They make you weak and uncomfortable, uncontrollable. They get safely flushed out. Cathays. The artist status, ignorant troublemakers who should be banished, wise teachers who deserve respect, the wall of art to corrupt your moral letter, to bring you knowledge and relief. तो यहाँ पर हमने शॉर्ट में दोनों की थ्योरीज और कॉन्सेप्ट्स को समझने की कोशिश करी है. इफ़ यू लाइक दिस वीडियो प्लीज़ लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब.